Welcome, my friends. Welcome to another episode of 15-Minute Free Thinking. You know, it sure gets old saying that, but here we are. Atheists, if you're watching this or listening to this podcast, why you mad, bro? Now, this is a total joke. The title of this podcast is Why Are Atheists So Angry? Or something to that effect. I haven't decided yet. And yes, it is slightly clickbait, but not necessarily. It's to make a point. If you talk to any Christian today, they will tell you that atheists are just angry or they're upset or have been let down and they think God has abandoned them, especially atheists who have left Christianity or any other religion, Mormonism, Scientology. My goodness, that's a real odd one. But I'm not somebody who is new to religion. I've studied it my whole life. I've been fascinated with different articles written by and about the churches and religious organizations. Fascinated with how the Bibles tie together and how, the Quran was formed as the new book of Jesus, and then Buddhism had, formed completely self-sufficient, but Hinduism and many other religions were offshoots of each other. And when I was growing up, I heard about all these belief systems. And as a rational, skeptical person, I said, bullshit. I didn't believe any of them. I said, how could this be true? Now, mind you, I did not have parents who were religious nor non-religious. They'd never said anything about it. Basically, I was raised with no discussion about God or higher power. So I was a completely oblivious kid that grew up, and as I got into high school, I tried psychedelics, and then I started to really think about things. I got to a point where I believed that the universe was conscious itself, yet I still dismissed religion as ridiculous. And the older I got, I recall specifically one time, I had to take the bus to Portland and then out to eastern Portland to go to school every day at an alternative school because I got kicked out of my school because I brought a bong to school. Long story. But let's just say I was coming home one time and I seen this guy standing on the corner, literally on his soapbox. I think it was a milk crate. And he was preaching about the Bible. And I stood there and I asked him a couple questions. Don't recall the whole conversation. But he told me that, in a nutshell, I was going to hell because of the clothes I was wearing and the fact I had long hair. You know, I told him how I felt about that, and that was that. But many years later, as a long hair again, growing my hair out, it reminded me of that. And, talking about religion and atheism is a difficult topic because most people have a position. A lot of people are what you would call agnostic. They don't claim to believe anything specific. But I think agnostic I don't know if I'm correct on this, but it's my assessment so far that using the term agnostic basically means I'm ambivalent and I don't know what to believe, therefore I'm not going to make a decision. And that's a good thing, but I think it's also important to maybe find something that you can believe in. Now, this can be a group of people that share the same hobbies. It doesn't have to be religious. But I want to touch on the importance of religion and how important it is to people. It's not just about the belief in an afterlife. There are religions that don't believe in an afterlife. So what does that tell you about the system itself? They're not all about salvation and repentance and guilt. But especially my personal search through belief systems led me to Buddhism and then to Zen Buddhism, particularly the type of Zen Buddhism as spoken, or I was going to say preached, by Alan Watts himself. Many people in that community of Zen Buddhists or Buddhists in general may think that Alan Watts was, oh, he just touched on the surface, or he, didn't get deep enough and didn't understand the deepest teachings. I don't know if that's true, but I would think because he was just so cynical and had so much fun with it, that's what Zen is. It's a joke. It's not meant to be serious. That's the kind of religion I love, because you never know what's coming next. You can't know what happened before you were born or after. So you live this life. And you still can have a system of people who believe the same thing and share values. Therefore, religion is not exclusive to values, and no religion has a monopoly on values or what it means to be a good person or a human in general. Or, if there is a heaven, no one religion has any monopoly on what it means to get to heaven. So, let's say there is an afterlife. I don't think any of the belief systems have it right. There's no way they could, because they're constantly morphing and changing. So that leaves us as individuals with very few options to understand purpose in life. Now, this ties into a video I made before this, which was actually not about, hey, atheist, you mad bro, but meaning of life. And what is the meaning of life? It was about what is the meaning in life? How do you create meaning in life? And I think that religion helps a lot of people find a common thread. When I was younger, I didn't know what I know now. I didn't realize that, for example, people didn't actually believe that Greek gods were real. I thought that, there's so many different Greek and Roman gods, and I thought that the people might literally believe they were real. But common sense as I got older made me realize these are metaphors, and people knew that. They knew there weren't actual gods watching over them of these. It was a way for them to put into metaphor these important archetypes and allegories in our lives. And the Bible also shared many of those, and probably the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita in Hinduism and several other ancient texts. But really it comes down to the archetypes, because they still exist today. And the archetypes are the overbearing patterns and the the consistencies, the hero, um, without getting too much into detail. I think that we need belief systems in order for us to pass on hope. So let me explain. We've lost this sense of evolution of our young people, especially young men. And that's where I really, most of the people that I talk to are men, and most of the situations I've encountered are, men, and therefore I know, and I am a man, so I know what it means to be a man, and I know that it's difficult for a lot of people. I think that all people want to find some purpose in life, and especially young men don't have the rites of passage that they once had. Rites of passage could be anything. Even going out camping with a dad or somebody in your life, which can give you a certain amount of self-confidence. That self-confidence can lead us to not have to believe in other people's bullshit to be happy. And I think that I want to back up and I want to make sure that I make this clear. As I made this video about atheists, I should be specific about this. I don't consider myself an atheist. I consider myself somewhat of a pantheist, and I know that that's ridiculous to people. I know that animals are more intelligent than we realized. Many of them are probably, more conscious than we realize. We like to think that we're the only ones who are actually conscious or intelligent, but, that's not true. But as you shrink down into the micro level, you have several different systems, and maybe they're not as intelligent. But you would think as you get to larger systems, like the Earth itself, that it's more intelligent. So what if the Earth itself is conscious? That would be the Gaia hypothesis, and regulates itself in a way that we can't even comprehend. Our neurons and our brain works in a totally different way than the Earth. We don't know. We won't know. We can't know. We will never know. There is so much arrogance surrounding where we come from, where we're going, and believing that the Earth was created 6,000 years ago is no dumber than believing that we have no purpose and the universe is just by chance random shit. And you know there is an unfolding here that I consider evolution to be creation itself. When people talk about creation, no, I don't believe people were thrown on this planet. People evolved. There's an underlying blueprint that seems to repeat itself. And what do I know? I'm just another human, just doing my thing. I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a scientist. But I do believe that there are some underlying patterns to our lives, and that we have a genetic awareness, maybe if you want to call it epigenetics, maybe passed down from our ancestors, or it could be just something that's programmed right into us from the start, primal, that tells us when something is bullshit, and that forces us to look for something greater. So even the people, those of us, most of us who don't, believe in anything, we're always searching, we're always looking, we're always trying to find a passion, some sort of an excitement, something to move us forward. And if you're open-minded to it, and you can actually embrace the things that you learn without being biased about it, then you can have amazing discoveries. It's the way that people might say, oh, I listen to podcasts and read books all the time, but they only listen to, like, say, one political side or one, religious side, whatever it might be that they're into. And you have to look at all the factors. So as a person who was an atheist myself, more or less, according to the standards of religious people, I read a lot of different books. I read Revelation when I was like 16. I remember I was really into it. And I wanted to know, what is this apocalypse, prediction people talk about. And of course, it's all taken out of context, like everything. But we still don't know, what's true and what's not about the afterlife, or what happens before we're born, if anything. And so it's kind of silly for us to sit around and pretend like we do. And I think that all the atheists out there who are really huffy about shit, I have a respect for people who just left their religion. Like, there's a few. Genetic Modified Skeptic, I think that's his name. And the Something Atheist. There's a couple they're really well spoken. I don't care for the ones who just rant on religious people, but these guys are very well spoken, and they used to be members of various religious groups. And they left the church. Then they got excommunicated by their people, and were considered toxic as soon as you leave the church. In a lot of cases, family won't even talk to you. So naturally, you're going to have a desire to talk about that. And I respect that, and hopefully it inspires other people to realize that just because you believe something, just because you believe in a system, doesn't mean you're necessarily a good person or doing the right thing. It depends on the person. And that all I want to say here is that atheists and religious folks should learn to get along, because it doesn't matter what you believe. There are some internal truths we all have. Most of us want to be a good person. It's not the Bible that keeps people in line. It's the Bible that's quoting what people have always said. Be kind, don't steal from your neighbor, don't kill people. These are basic premise for most people's lives. I've heard people say that everybody would go crazy and kill each other if there were no rules. Bullshit. That wouldn't last very long at all. We never would have evolved this far if that was our programming. So I think that humans are being undersold, if anything. Anyhow, yeah, we have science now, of course, but science has limits. And I do believe that secularism can breed discontent if a person doesn't find an effort or find a path or make an effort to find a path to do something positive with their energy. They can revert to nihilism. And that's why I've never really understood the full-blown atheist that wants to just say, nothing matters, until I got older and realized nihilism was the proper definition. I think true satisfaction in life is temporal, and it only comes from non-material things. You can't gain that from your beliefs, but you can get it better from your belief system than you can get it from, anything you buy. So hopefully your religion isn't consumerism, because that's one that seems to permeate all different aspects of our society. So I think that maybe our best bet is to stop seeking answers and to really ask ourselves what questions we even have. Do we need an answer to life? Do we need to know where we come from? What do we really want from our lives? What do we really want from other people? What kind of relationships do we want? The things that matter are the things that are here and now. So thank you for listening. I'm going to leave it at that. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you're listening to the video version, you can hit the thanks button down below. If you're a subscriber to the channel or the podcast, you can check out my Patreon, rather. And I appreciate it, because I don't have any sponsors or stupid shave clubs or anything that I'm just not into having a sponsorship on my channels. And I will talk to you all next time. Be well, be kind, and be kind, rewind. Peace out.